The sky split open, and they arrived, thousands of human warships, dark and silent. No banners, no broadcast, just a message. We remember what you did for us. Now stand back. The Zelathi homeworld burned beneath a crimson sky. Enemy bombardment had turned their crystal cities to glass dust, their proud spires to rubble. The Korvax supremacy had come to collect what they called overdue tribute, the complete subjugation of a species that had dared to say no. 43 years ago, the Zelathi had found a small blue planet on the edge of nowhere. Earth, barely spacefaring, struggling with first contact protocols, one bad harvest away from system-wide famine. The Galactic Council had laughed at humanity's application for membership. Too primitive, too violent, too unstable. But the Zelathi had seen something else. They shared their atmospheric processors, taught humans to navigate hyperspace, and stood as Earth's sole advocate in the council chambers. Give them time, Ambassador Thylix had said. They will surprise you. Now Thylix's great-granddaughter Vyra huddled in a bunker as Korvax dreadnoughts darkened her sky. Their allies had retreated. The council had declared the conflict an internal matter. The Zelathi would die alone as so many species had before them. Then the sensors screamed. Hyperspace ruptures. Not dozens. Not hundreds. Thousands. The human fleet emerged like a storm-given shape, sleek vessels that looked nothing like the primitive craft the Zelathi had once helped guide through the stars. These ships moved with predatory grace, their hulls absorbing light, their formations perfect. Impossible, Vyra whispered. Humans have only been spacefaring for 4 decades. Her grandfather, ancient Thylix himself, placed a trembling hand on her shoulder. We saved them when they were nothing, and now they've returned as something else entirely. The Korvax commander's voice crackled across all frequencies, dripping with arrogance. Human vessels, you violate supremacy space. Withdraw or be destroyed. The human response came from a single ship, a massive carrier that dwarfed even the Korvax flagship. The voice was calm, almost gentle. This is Admiral Sarah Chin of the United Earth Protectorate. You are engaged in hostile action against our creditors. You have 1 minute to withdraw. Creditors? The Korvax commander laughed. The Zelathi are nothing. And you dare threaten the supremacy? 50 seconds. Admiral Chen's voice never changed. And Commander? This is a repayment. What happens next is your own doing. The Korvax fired first. A massive barrage designed to shatter the human lines. The humans moved like water. Their ships flowed around the incoming fire, their point defense systems creating a web of light that turned missiles to atoms. They didn't fire back. Not yet. 30 seconds. On the surface, drop pods began falling like rain. Human soldiers in power armor that made them look like death incarnate landed around Zelathi population centers. They didn't speak. They simply took positions, weapons trained skyward, shields deploying to cover fleeing civilians. A young Zelathi soldier, Kelm, stumbled toward one of the armored figures. Why would humans do this for us? The human's helmet retracted, revealing a scarred woman with kind eyes. Captain Lisa Park smiled grimly. Because we don't forget who stood with us when we had nothing. Your people gave us the stars, kid. Time to return the favor. 10 seconds, Admiral Chin announced. The Korvax commander snarled. You dare count down to us? We are the supremacy. We have conquered 100 worlds. 5 seconds. And Commander? You conquered worlds that couldn't fight back. Chen's voice finally held an edge. We're not them. 3, 2, 1. What followed wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. Human ships didn't just fight, they danced. Fighters moved in patterns that shouldn't have been possible, their pilots pulling maneuvers that would have liquefied most species. Capital ships fired weapons that bent space itself, creating gravity wells that crushed Korvax vessels like tin cans. But it was on the ground where the galaxy learned to fear human warfare. Soldiers moved through urban combat like they were born to it. They used tactics the Korvax had never seen, asymmetric warfare refined over thousands of years of humans fighting humans. Brutal, efficient, terrifyingly creative. They fight like demons, a Korvax lieutenant gasped over comms. No, his commander replied, watching another ship explode. Demons have rules. The battle turned when the Korvax flagship targeted the Zelathi capital. One shot from their planet cracker would end millions of lives. The human fleet was too far to intercept. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos. All ships execute Thermopylae Protocol. The human carrier Remembrance broke formation, accelerating beyond safety limits. It threw itself between the planet and the incoming fire, taking the full force of the planet cracker. The ship shattered, but the planet lived. Chen's final transmission was calm. Let them know Earth remembers. And Earth defends its debts in full. The human fleet's response was instant and absolute. Every remaining ship focused fire on the Korvax positions. Not wild revenge, but cold, calculated destruction. In 7 minutes, the Korvax supremacy fleet ceased to exist. Silence fell over Zelothi Prime. The humans had lost a carrier and its crew to save one city. They'd ended a fleet that had terrorized the sector for centuries. And they'd done it not for conquest or glory, but for a debt decades old. As quickly as they'd come, the humans began to leave. No demands for payment. No claims on territory. They simply collected their wounded and dead and prepared to jump. Vyra found Captain Park organizing the withdrawal. You're leaving? Just like that. Park sealed her helmet. Job's done. Debts paid. Your people stood by us when nobody else would. Today, we stood by you. Will humanity come if we need you again? Park paused at her dropship's ramp. We don't forget our friends, Vyra. And we don't abandon them. She smiled. But honestly, after today, I don't think anyone's going to bother the Zelothi again. As the human fleet vanished into hyperspace, Ancient Thylix spoke to the gathering crowd. We gave them knowledge and tools. They gave us their loyalty. And the galaxy learned what we suspected long ago. Humans are most dangerous when they're grateful. A young Zelothi child tugged on his robes. Grandfather, will they come back? Thylix looked to the stars where the human fleet had vanished. Only if we need them, and if they do, the stars will tremble again. Across the galaxy, the story spread like wildfire. The humans hadn't just repaid a debt. They'd sent a message written in Korvax wreckage. Earth remembered its friends. And when humanity came to collect or repay, they brought something the galaxy had forgotten existed. Absolute, unwavering loyalty backed by the Force to make it matter. The Council met in emergency session. The topic, humanity's sudden military capability. But the real discussion, whispered in corridors and private chambers, was simpler. Who else had helped Earth in its early days? And more importantly, who had wronged them? Because humanity had shown the galaxy a truth more terrifying than any fleet. Earth does not forget. And when it repays kindness, it repays in full with fire, fury, and the silence of justice delivered.